What's going on, guys? B Flatten here with a little bit of a different video today. Today I want to talk about Borderlands the pre-sequel. So Borderlands the pre-sequel is a game that took place between Borderlands 1 and 2, and it was a really good story that bridged between the two games. We got to see a little bit more of Handsome Jack. We got to see the story kind of unfold even further with this like in-between style game. Linking them together in an even stronger fashion, I also believe that the same can be done with Borderlands 3 by having a pre-sequel 2 to link Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 events even further. So this is what I have for you guys. So Borderlands the pre-sequel received a bunch of hate gameplay-wise due to the shutting down of all the devs in Australia. It wasn't just 2K Australia, there was a big time, and it was a big happening down in Australia where a bunch of game devs were just shutting down. 2K Australia was actually the last one to shut down, hence why the pre-sequel got a fair amount of love. They got a couple of years in before the project ended up ending due to lack of support from the community and the main studios of 2K taking over. It was just not worth their time with coding changes, and all at the same time when the studio did shut down. Borderlands 3 was already being in development, because they did confirm that 5 years was their time frame, and it went down in about 2016. I feel that if we got a fully fleshed out Borderlands the pre-sequel 2, I'm talking story, I'm talking full characters, fully fledged everything, updates, hotfixes, patches, all that jazz, endgame, DLCs, the whole entire works. If we got a fully fleshed out Borderlands the pre-sequel 2 to link 2 and 3 together, I believe that the story can unfold in a nicer way, and it'll also bring both the events together very, very well. My thoughts for a story: it could revolve around Troy Calypso the same way that it did with Jack. Jack, we got to see kind of like a little bit of an uprising background character, like how he started off, that he always wasn't like insane and shit like that, and that events will bring him to who he was eventually. I think something around the focus, like the main focus point of Troy, could also work in this fashion as well, because Troy, it seems like he had a little bit more story to him around the Eden 6 time period in Borderlands 3. It sort of seemed like he had like a redemption arc working for him that he was about to betray, and then he kind of just dies off. So I feel like he could be a main focal point. How his quoted parasitic relationship with his sister went before they decided to pursue vaults. Typhon being a first vault hunter should get some story here as well. It can really link in and tie in very nicely. With how Typhon DeLeon was kind of forced upon us because he's the first vault hunter opening vaults, I feel like he should be more focused on and have more of a story to him. Typhon DeLeon, the game could start off with Typhon DeLeon telling the story to the twins about like vault and opening them to flesh their characters more out before. It was said that in Borderlands 3 that Typhon DeLeon told them stories. I feel like that would be a really good starting point to where a pre-sequel 2 could take place, with the main focus point being Troy and how his relationship was with his father, and Tyreen being, you know, known as a parasite. I feel like Troy has a lot more writing potential. He has a lot more potential. He has a lot more dialogue. And it seems as if like it makes sense the way that he went off, because like him betraying Tyreen would not make sense because he literally can't live without her. But having and knowing a little bit more about Troy behind the scenes, shall we say, because we got a little bit of an insight to that in Eden 6, that would be especially like crucial to us as a player getting connected to the Calypsos as like villains, where they really rose up. Playable Vault Hunters, of course we have to have playable Vault Hunters if we're going to have a brand new game, if it's going to be fully fleshed out. Playable Vault Hunters potential could be everywhere, as NPCs have shown to be playable in the previous game, like Claptrap, Aurelio, Wilhelm, things like that. This would be my lineup. So first in my list, my first one would be Clay. Clay was the guy who gave us the rogue site mission, and he gave us a lot of like fetch quests, fast travel here, back to Jacobs, collect this, pick up that, and you know, that sort of thing. He had a lot of fetch quest related things attached to him. I feel like he would have a lot more story potential for him. He could work off of the Jacobs manufacturer to benefit off of pistols and shotguns, sort of what we saw with Handsome Jack, or not Handsome Jack, sorry, Timothy in the pre-sequel. We could see sort of like a Jacobs manufactured tree. He could have a pistol and shotgun tree, as long as there's nothing like gunslinger, dual wield sort of shit. We don't really want that again, but I feel like he could work just like Timothy did a little bit in the pre-sequel 1. Next up in my list would be Ember. Ember was the person who appeared in the DLC 1. She was a person who helped us get to Trash Atlantis with her explosives and her bombs, her presence and things like that. I feel like based on her fire elements, I could totally see a skill tree revolving around her fire elements, and also her explosive damage, her bombs, like I was mentioning before, could totally work off of that. I talked about this character previously in a previous video called the theory around Butcher Rose, or like writing potential, playable Vault Hunter, things like that. This would be a perfect addition for her. Her movement speed, her melee, her pet potential could really pack a punch as a playable Vault Hunter. I talked a little bit about that in the Butcher Rose video, but she has like this phase stride kind of thing. She has that melee attack with her whip. She has her pets, the things that the Devil Riders ride. There's a lot of eggs that were there. She shot one. A lot of potential here. Her story could involve her rising to become a Devil Rider. A lot of dialogue and echo related dialogues and voice lines there. It could definitely be a good writing potential for Rose. And last but not least on this lineup, I would say Lorelei. Lorelei was the person that we met on Promethea. She's a coffee-loving person who was working with Reese. A cool tree, or even an action skill that she could have, could be based around the love of coffee, because one of her voice lines is, the password is, I'm going to shove a coffee grinder up your ass. Base it around something called Caffeinated. And what Caffeinated could do, she could get bonuses similar to Zane's clone skill called Boom Enhance, where you gain damage, fire rate, maybe even movement speed for a short time, things that would affect something called Caffeinated. I feel like that would be a good start to the character. It seems like she had sniper, she has some good hand-to-hand combat in her opening tree. I feel like Lorelei would be a nice, like, in-between balanced character. And the first character that I really think about when I hear Lorelei is kind of Athena from the pre-sequel 1. I feel like she would be kind of like that character. So that would be my lineup. If you guys have your own lineup in the comment section, make sure to let me know. I'm curious to see which character you would like to have playable, and what sort of skill trees or action skills that you guys would like to see. This is my lineup, of course. I feel like there's good potential with these 4 characters and a little bit more writing potential for all of them, and I feel like they would fit in as playable characters as well. It seems as if the community is very heated when it comes to the story that Borderlands 3 had presented us. I feel like the pre-sequel 2, like mentioned earlier, could be that link and bond to really get us from 2 to 3 even further. Now, I know Commander Lilith in the Fight for Sanctuary was supposed to do that for us, but it seemed like it was almost around the events of Tales from the Borderlands, rather than it was 2 to 3. A pre-sequel 2 mentioning with everything that I mentioned earlier, story with Typhon and the Calypso twins would be a amazing real bridge to get us from 2 to 3, and it might even sway members of the community to even liking Borderlands 3, kind of like how they liked Jack even more in the pre-sequel 1. So that's my video, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have your own sort of story or own sort of theory Jump off mine if you want to, or if you have your own story, if you have your own ideas for what could come of a pre-sequel to, let me know. I'm always curious. My mind is always spinning around what more can come to the series. Guys, my name is B Flattened, and I'm signing on out of here. Take care, all.